Hello, my name is Joseph Carlson, and this is episode 280 of Gaming with Grief. And in this episode, it's really about the news. I don't do this a lot, but I wanted to talk about AI use in video games really quickly. I've been thinking about it a lot. It's been in the news a lot. So let's get into AI usage in video games. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a couple articles, and I'll talk about it when I'm done. So this will probably be a quicker episode, but I really wanted to get this off my shop. But if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. I come out with a video game review every month. It'll hit probably on the 25th of every month. And then I have a website, www.gamewithgrief.com. I'm going to try to write more because I actually want to, use the blog posts that I have and write, use the written word a little bit more. I know it looks very dark in the room I'm in, but I'm from the West Coast and it gets dark around 4:30. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk about AI use in games because it's crazy. But I just want to go over. There's just two articles I want to go over really quickly. One, this came out from Game Rant. It came out on November 14th, so fairly new. Sorry about the ads. I want to remove ads, but anyway. The writer of this goes on to talk about how conflicted they are with Arc Raiders, which is a extraction shooter that came out, like October of last year, I think. And people are, at least the writer here, Christopher Adams, is like very conflicted because as he's playing the game, the quest givers speak to you in like an AI voice. And apparently, right here, he's going to say for context, whoops, whoa, jeez. Wow, that just did everything. For context, Arc Raider uses two distinct AI technologies, and that's notable because conflating them muddies a conversation. The first is reinforced learning for enemy animations. In a Medium article, Tom Soderberg, a member of the developer Embark machine learning team, likens training AI tooled assets to teach a dog new tricks. The Arc AI gets positive feedback for realistic movement patterns and eventually learns to react dynamically to terrain and players. The second is Arc Raiders text-to-speech voices. Trained on recordings of real voice actors, Embark claims that this allows it to implement new dialogue quickly, creating voice lines in hours instead of scheduling recording sessions and rehiring performers. The actors were reportedly paid and gave their consent to have their voices used in this way, but still, this is where things get messy. So, this is kind of where I want to start. Yes, the people were paid to do what they did. They were paid to go into the studio, they signed a contract, they were compensated, that's fine. But again, I think the writer points out later, Christopher, that what about future jobs? Like they're not getting booked for future jobs. Yes, you have to get a new schedule. You got to get a hold of the actors and all that. And then what I've heard, I haven't played Arc Raiders, but I've heard a lot of people saying, this doesn't sound good. Like it's kind of lifeless. And so this is where kind of the money, kind of what I wanted to pick up from. So here's the deal. Like I said, I think there's valid criticism of this. It doesn't, I understand like artists in a way where they're like, oh, I need the money. You're going to compensate for this. Maybe it's like a royalty check where they may every quarter or whatever getting a percentage. Arc Raiders is doing great. But I think, again, like Christopher, the writer points out, what about future jobs? What about work with other people? It's like, are other studios going to get this idea for these actors and say, well, you already signed this deal with Embark Studios. We work for EA and we have this upcoming game and we want you to be this protagonist or antagonist or character in the game. But, we only need you to say these 8 lines. And actually, this is a really old reference. I'm a Gen Xer. There's an old movie with Robert Redford, rest in peace, called Sneakers, where they basically had a black box that could like break into anything, computer system wise. And there was a scene where they're trying to get, I saw this movie a long time ago. They had one of their people on the inside. They had a team of these hackers, these sneakers, and they were trying to get this thing. And they needed to talk to somebody in the government, and they needed him to say certain phrases because that would unlock the door to this vault or whatever, so they could hack, whatever. And it was like 7 phrases, And I wonder if the way AI learning is going now, I don't use these systems. But I wonder if it's going that way where they're like, hey, we really only need you to say these phrases or types of phrases, and we can train the model to do so much more. That sounds like what it's doing. And I just have to worry about like the future of this and like art and things like that. I'll say this much: I've fallen for it on YouTube and other platforms where things just sound very robotic, and you're like, this is AI, or it'll be just a deadpan, like weird, grainy video of somebody staring straight to camera and saying things without any inflection, or like their face doesn't move correctly, or they have 7 fingers, and it's just becoming a thing now, you know. And it's and even on the back end of YouTube, you have to like opt in to have your stuff altered. There's like a button to click, like, do you want your your video altered? It's like, no, I kind of don't. But it's such a weird spot for gamers because it, like, I don't know, or actors in general. And I think my uneasiness is like, listen, let's just cut the bullshit. All right. I think a lot of studios are using AI. Either they're not telling people, or they're just not. They're not telling people what they're not telling customers what they're using on the back end. They obviously know. I mean, Bungie got caught with this with Marathon, where they got caught stealing art from somebody. That's pretty crazy. And I'll say that I just think that more and more people are using AI. And I know a few people in the tech world, not many. Avin, who's been on The Grief of Politics. You should like and subscribe to that if you want to see two middle-aged men that have known each other from high school mildly disagree on politics. Watch that show. Comes out on the 20th of every month. I know I'm plugging my only show, but I don't have ads, so let me just plug to the show I'm on. Anyway, the few people I know in IT say that, yes, we do use AI, and it is helpful. The problem we have is, like, it does certain things very well and other things not that well. And I think, and it's been reported that many companies like Microsoft and Amazon are kind of using the excuse of AI to be like, we don't need you anymore. But they kind of do need those people, or at least some of those people. So I think it's a promise that hasn't really bared fruit yet. And I think, again, all these companies, I think, are using it. I don't think they're telling people how they're using it. And I guess that's fine, because we'll never know. And I think to see so many video game fans so upset that companies are like, you're using AI, where we've seen real things like DLSS is a form of AI, the way I understand it. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to stuff. But the AI in the back end is doing stuff to make everything look better and run, look better, run smoother, the way I understand it. You can correct me in the comments. Leave a comment. Tell me I'm an idiot. I'm totally fine with that. But I think what kills me, like really kills me, is the art, the art of it. Like, AI can do the nuts and bolts. It can help you with certain things. But at the end of the day, like, people sit down and draw. I mean, Call of Duty got into this problem. Not only Marathon, with stealing art, but Call of Duty did, like, the banners for players, character, or your stats was like Miyazaki stuff that was like ripped off. You could tell it was like generative AI. And they have like a whole art team. Like, I can't imagine being on an art team for a major game like that. And just, they're like, well, we use AI for these banners. And you're like, well, we had designs. We have a whole folder of designs. We could have designed banners, and we could have gone back and forth. And, the game's been out, Call of Duty's been around forever. How do we make the thing dynamic? Like, we don't know. And so I think that's a problem. And that's where I want to get to my second article, which is a Polygon article, which is about Larian Studios. It was written by Amy Hart. It was published on January 9th, so not that long ago. And I'm just going to read the thing. Divinity, the new game coming from Larian Studios after they came out with Baldur's Gate. Sven, the head of Sven Vinke, basically said, yes, we use AI, but we just use it in the early stages. Even art, we use it as like a reference, just like we use an art book, and then we kind of go from there. Massive blowback from the fans. Oh man, they're using AI. How are they doing this? And I'm gonna say, as a fan, it was a little bit shocking to hear that they use it and stuff like that. But again, I think it's true. It's one of those things where he said, "Yeah, we're using AI," and I thought, "Yeah, of course you are. All the big companies are using it. Like, of course." The art is where I get a little bit nervous as a creator, because, again, I think Baldur's Gate 3 had an amazing art style, And I've talked about it on this channel. I posted some videos. I love D&D. I play D&D. Also on this channel is me playing D&D with my friends. So not only me telling my love of D&D, but you can actually see me stream D&D with my friends. But the idea that somebody's going to go like, well, I can AI it. I'm just going to AI it. Okay, cool. I guess. But like, I think, that's what it is. Because AI is like so shit at things now, like those banners for Call of Duty, those are like from Howl's Moving Castle and like all this stuff. Miyazaki's art style is so distinct. When AI, if you just type in a prompt that says, in the art style of Miyazaki, you're like, that's Miyazaki. It's not like Miyazaki. It is Miyazaki. You're just stealing. And I think as a consumer, that's what I have a problem with. Like, listen, I know you're using AI on the back end to make certain things easier, maybe to make graphics run better again, to make the game run smoother, or maybe we need less coders. But you still need someone looking over that code and deciding, and running the game and being like, oh man, the AI, we told it to do this, and now everybody's hair is standing on end and their guns are shooting water out of them, and we don't want that. I mean, there's got to be something like that. The only thing I'll say is this. Sven had to go on Reddit and do an AMA and tell people, like, okay, we're not doing this. So I want to just read Sven's statement. So first off, there's not going to be any Gen AI art in Divinity. I know there's been a lot of discussion about us using AI tools as part of a concept art exploration. We already said this doesn't mean the actual concept art is generated by AI, but we understand it created confusion. So, to ensure there's no room for doubt, we decided to refrain from using Gen AI tools during concept art development. That way, there can be no discussion about the origin of the art. Having said that, we continuously try to improve the speed with which we can try things out. The more iterations we can do, the better in general the gameplay is. We think Gen AI can help with this. And so we're trying things out across departments. Our hope is that it can aid and refine ideas faster, leading to a more focused development cycle, less waste, and ultimately a higher quality game. The important bit to note is that we will not generate creative assets, quote unquote, that end up in the game without being 100% sure that the origins of the training data and the consent of those who created the data. If we use Gen AI model to create an in-game asset, then it'll be trained on data we own. I don't know how successful. I mean, are they going to try this? Sure. Are they going to be successful? I mean, are these AI models, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, not using anybody else's art but scraping art? Like, this is where it gets very kind of murky for me, where you're like, yeah, what is going on, Sven? And again, I just assumed before reading this or hearing about this that, like, sure, you're using AI. Cool. Use AI. That's fine. But I think, man, this is one of those things where I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that these companies are not using AI in any way. And I think that it's crazy. One, it's crazy to me, the response. Like, I understand people are like, whoa, 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 that's crazy. But, like, it's just like in a dime, people are like, this company sucks. And I think there needs to be a more nuanced take on it. But I understand the concern of it, like, ripping people off and stealing people's artwork, and that's terrible. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. I just think that I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm still kind of iffy about it and worried. Again, I think everybody's worry is totally justified. I just think that everybody's using AI. It's just one of those things where I'm like, of course, you're doing something bad and illegal, but yeah, sure. I don't know. I just think that we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, no, you can never ever use AI in a game. It's like that stuff's all still happening on the back end. The art does concern me, where people are like, look at this art I made, and you're like, that, because we could all be inspired by different parts of art. I mean, we've all seen. I mean, we play. Everybody that's watching this, hopefully, you play video games. You look at art books. You look at movies. It's like, what a great design. How is this? What that's all great. People can be inspired by things. You're like, oh, they were inspired by this, and let me show you the art where this came from, or the comic where this inspiration comes from. You're like, oh, that's amazing. Well, you can look at something and go, that's one for one. I think that's the thing with AI art. Like I said earlier, you kind of look at something and go, no, that isn't like the style of. It is. Like, the AI isn't good enough to just be like, okay, well, you want it in the style of Miyazaki, I'll make it kind of a little off. It just is. And I think that's the problem with AI right now. And so I know I kind of rambled a little bit. I was really thinking about this, like, what are we doing? But I think, listen, every company is using AI to produce video games and probably stuff in general. And two, as long as they tell us, like, yeah, we use Gen AI. I think that's the thing. The more like, and I think they tried to, but I think what like with the Larian, what they ran into the problem was the art of like, yeah, we're using Gen AI for art, and everybody's like, whoa, art? We get the coding part, but like art, that's crazy. So I'm not gonna be really mad at Divinity. I'm not gonna like boycott Larian Studios. I know they're using whatever. We'll see what happens when the game comes out. Maybe there's a big review and somebody finds out that they stole a crap ton of art. Then it's like, whoa. But until then, whatever. I know it's kind of a rambly video, but I just kind of wanted to get some of my thoughts out there, and I didn't know what direction to go into. So it's more of a free flowing thing. But yeah, if you like the show, please like and subscribe. Like I said, a game review comes out at the end of every month, usually on the 25th. There's a podcast if you want to listen to the podcast version of the show. It's on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. Also, the videos usually hit 7 in the morning when they post. So the 25th, 7 in the morning. And if you like politics, again, if you like two middle-aged men that have known each other since high school, randomly disagreeing about politics because the world is crazy, The Grief of Politics comes out on the 20th of every month at 7 a.m. on YouTube. Just go to The Grief of Politics. It's also a podcast. You can subscribe to the podcast feed. And my co-host and I, Avin Carroll, we just kind of talk about stuff every month. It's always a new subject. I usually have him on the pod, and I was going to have him on the pod for this episode, but he's very busy, and he didn't call me back. Also, him and his wife have moved. They're done. But as you know, when you're done moving, quote unquote, you're not really done. You're like unpacking. Where did this come from? What are we doing? Oh, this has got to be done around the house. Okay, we moved in. Let's do these things. So thanks for letting me be able to ramble a really long time. I hope everybody has a great, great day. I hope I'll see you guys next month. Probably before that, I'll do more. Anyway, if you like what you see, again, subscribe to the channel, like, all that kind of stuff. That helps out. And, I'll talk to you guys next time.